knowing faculty and appetite, right? Receiving data and going towards the object. It's the same happens at the intellectual level. The difference between the deer is that now I'm not attracted to something concrete, like this object. I'm attracted to what I'm thinking. So the will would be the appetite for what I'm thinking, not what I'm touching. So when I feel the attraction for something at the intellectual level of my being, I'm not attracted to something concrete, something particular. I'm attracted to something which is already intellectual, is rational. Why am I saying this? Because clearly that's why the concept for Aristotle was so weird, because will is not like a blind impulse, like an instinct towards something. It's a kind of attraction already rational in itself. It needs to know something intellectually in order to appetite it. It's not like, I'm just chasing a deer. I'm actually chasing an idea, a concept, something I thought about. So don't never think of will as if it were just a blind impulse. It's nothing like that. Will is actually a very rational faculty. It's it's a mixture. It's what makes attractive to us the idea of something, the truth of something. I know the truth of something and I'm attracted to it. Now we can go to the next slide and get to the concept of free will finally. Okay, so what's the difference between intellect and reason? Now let's get into it. So reason is the intellect walking, like free will is the will walking. So we don't know everything at once, right? What is a reasoning? A reasoning is walking from something we already know, let's call it a premise, to something we still don't know and we should know it to a reasoning, let's call it a conclusion. So if we were perfect beings, we wouldn't need to discover something we still don't know through reasoning. We would know it at once. That's why God doesn't have reason, doesn't need to reason. God knows everything at once. He knows at once also the connection between premises and conclusion. For him, that's not a process he needs to go through. And whatever he wills, he thinks that something is good and he is attracted to it. But it's not a process he needs to go through. Now, in our case, there are plenty of things we don't know already and we need to reach through our reasoning. So when our intellect starts walking towards something true, a new truth that still doesn't know, we call it reason, and the process is reasoning. Now the same thing happens with our will, which again is the intellect, is the appetite for what the intellect knows. When I want something and I don't have it yet, and I need to reach what I still don't have, and it is an intellectual object of my knowledge, I need to kind of make intermediate movements. I need to reach the end to some means. And the means are rational means. I think in order to build the dam, I need some trees. So that's why I decide to cut the trees. So I'm walking towards the dam, and I think that I need to cut some trees. That's why I have to choose maybe between this tree or the other tree, or the tree instead of marble, whatever kind of dam I want to build. But I need to make a decision, I need to select, and then walk towards the end. At that point, we call free will the will choosing the means to the end. So, says Aquinas that free will is not a different power than the will, but it's kind of manifestation of the will whenever the will is forced to walk towards an end that doesn't possess already. So in our human condition, we basically are limited. So we need to live through a life in which we need to reach through several means our ends. so we need to reason about it and then to make a choice. But this choice is always about the means, it's not about the end. Because we cannot choose the first premise of our attraction. Because if we were not already attracted by the dam, we couldn't choose the tree, right? I mean, we start wondering about what kind of material we need for the dam, because we already want to build the dam. Otherwise, we wouldn't start the process. So the end, in each choice we make in life, we make a decision about the means, not about the end. The end turns us on. I'm attracted to it. That's why I start the process of reasoning about the means and choosing the means. Let's say that I see that beautiful girl. I really want to, date her. At that point, since I like her, I start the process. What am I going to do? I invite her to a dance. I happen to meet her in that classroom, whatever it is. But if I'm not attracted first, I don't start choosing my means, right? So the attraction for the end is the first principle of my free action. But I'm not free to the end. I'm free compared to the means. So because I'm attracted, let's say the case of the particular girl would be misleading, because there would be something that I'm not attracted by nature. But let's say that I'm attracted to girls. Let's say that I do have a sexual nature. So it's precisely because I'm not free to be indifferent to girls that I can choose to date that girl or to marry her or to do whatever. To be a bad person or a good person compared to ladies, but I'm not free to choose that. So in my actions, I'm always free compared to the means, and there are some ends which for me are necessary. I'm not free to decide. Let's say that I'm a dog, and I have in front of me a book of mathematics. Am I free to start studying mathematics? I'm not, because I'm totally indifferent to intellectual knowledge. But if I'm a human being, and I'm curious, I have an attraction for knowledge that I cannot do without. I mean, whether I like it or not, if I see something, I'm curious. I ask why is that? It's the natural end of my intellect. So this attraction turns on my intellect. So if I have a book in front of me, at that point I can make a decision. I can read mathematics rather than, I don't know, literature. But because I'm already attracted to the knowledge of the truth, as I'm already attracted to the other sex, as I'm already attracted to food, I'm already attracted to several things I cannot choose about, but at that point I can start choosing the means. So the will properly is about the attraction to the end as truth. So this is the same thing. The truth / attractive to me. I know something is true. For example, this is food, and I'm hungry. So the truth, as the object of the will, is called end or good. So this is the same thing. But the attraction for the end by the will is not still free will. That's the first principle, is what puts me into reasoning about the action. If I were God, I didn't need all of this. I would have the end, the truth, known as the end, and I would have the will and the intellect. I wouldn't need the free will, I wouldn't need to reason. At that point, I start reasoning, but this reasoning is weird. This reasoning, which is at the same time intellect and desire at the same time. That's why Aristotle called that ancestor we mentioned, proairesis, in that weird way, he called it at the same time reason and appetite. Because the whole process of thinking about my choice is a process of being attracted to something and then reasoning about, and something that looks at something would become attractive to me because it's a means to the end. I want to date a girl. let's say that I think that a good idea is to take her to the cinema because I figure that she actually loves that kind of movies that they are playing on campus tonight. At that point, my going to the cinema would become good, attractive to me, because it's a means to a further end I want to reach. So I have this process of designing and working on it. And so, at that point, we talk about free will of choosing the means. So intellect and will can walk, but they don't have to. I mean, they walk only for people like us who don't have anything they want to immediately. I mean, we live in a kind of reality, material reality, in which we need to struggle to reach something we still don't possess, whether it is the truth or it is the good. So we need this kind of faculties, extra faculties. Let's go. How much time do I still have? Because I know it's fun, but I don't want to to overdo. But let's say, whenever you want me to give me 8 minutes, okay. I do it fast editing in YouTube. So let's go back. So what is it that we are free about? Okay, we know already that we are free to contemplate the truth. Because when we judge the truth, I mean, I'm going back to the deepest level of our freedom. That level doesn't involve acting, doesn't involve free will and reason. It just involves knowing the truth about something. We contemplate the truth of something. And we kind of like it. So for God, to know even this world as created by Him, is just enjoying the truth, what He did. He knows Himself, and He is His own end. He enjoys His end. That's the main freedom we would have, is contemplation of the truth and appreciation of the truth. But let's go to our free will, actually. What is it that we are free about? So we never choose ends, as we never prove the premises of our reasoning. When we reason about something, we prove the conclusion, not the premises, right? The premises comes always first. We cannot prove the premises, it is a contradiction. So when we start with something, so premises will be the ends for our free will. So compared to our ultimate end, at the ends of all our natural inclinations, I've never, I want to get deeper into it right now, but let me summarize this. When we talk about the sexual attraction, the attraction for food or for our entertainment, or whatever it is, we are talking about something that we would call technically natural inclinations. So it's something we are not free about. It's something that our being is kind of complicated, doesn't have just one thing. We have different levels of needs. To each of these needs, it corresponds to a kind of inclination that puts it. Whenever we see something that matches that need, we feel attracted to it. So we are not free compared to those natural inclinations. Among them, there is one which is deepest, is the main one. We call it the ultimate end, the main inclination of our nature, which would be like the overall fulfillment of ourselves as human beings. Let's call it happiness, as in ancient philosophy, but it might be called by different names. But the whole point is that whenever we do something, we do it as a means to our overall fulfillment, even including playing or getting married or getting a degree or whatever we do. So if we didn't have one ultimate end, we couldn't start actually that movement towards our choices every day. So still at that level, so of our natural inclinations, we do not have free will. So basically, going faster, we are free because we are not free. So if we were the dog with the book of mathematics, we wouldn't be free to read it or not. So we are free because we are not free compared to our, in this case, our intellectual desire for knowledge. Our ability, capacity to know the truth. At that point we can reason, we can choose something. So, but we are not free. Freedom doesn't mean being totally, let's say, neutral or not determined to anything. That's not true even for God. God is not free to love Himself, because he himself is the only possible truth